Manifest Season 3. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all well. In this video we are going to be reviewing Manifest Season 3. Wow, that ending at the end of Season 3 for Manifest was absolutely incredible. I am such a big Manifest fan and I just literally had my jaw on the floor across that entire double bill episode, and the fact that they were able to film everything across this season to the super high quality that they had even during a pandemic, I think is a massive achievement in and of itself. But you know, all of the twists and turns in this season were absolutely brilliant, super emotional, especially that ending, which by the way we will definitely be talking about in this review video, and I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in the next season, which I am sure this series has to get renewed for a 4th season, especially after the fact that they've had that deal signed with Netflix, which I think is a really good indication of what's to come. But I cannot wait to break down this season with you in this TV series review, ending explain video and predictions and theories video review. So the storylines in the 3rd season of Manifest were absolutely awesome, so let's go through the main ones right now. So the first one, of course, is all around the tail fin. Where did it come from? Why did it come back? What does this mean? Is it connected to Noah's Ark? Can it allow time travel? Can it allow location travel? I feel like they answered some of these questions, but they didn't answer all of them, and especially with the plane disappearing at the end of this season, I feel like it will definitely have more questions that we have about this, which will hopefully get resolved in the inevitable season 4. Next up, we of course have the returning meth heads, and I really like this storyline as there was some evil people from the end of the 2nd season that now have the calling 828 passengers ability in terms of coming back, and that showdown at Tarek's place, which is Grace's brother, was absolutely brilliant. Both from a shooting point of view, there were some scenes that were literally just one camera across the entire dramatic moments with that showdown, which I thought were absolutely awesome. And then that twist at the end where all of the meth heads were being judged as a trio instead of individually, I thought was really, really interesting. Obviously that kicked off the lifeboat storyline. One bit I did find a little bit cringeworthy was that relationship that was being so forced between the Angelina character and one of the meth heads, which I thought was a little bit cringy at certain moments. I really like the Sanvi storyline in terms of her still feeling so much guilt over the Major and her working with the Vance character to try to cover that up. I absolutely love the Vance character, and I really like the fact that he was having a lot more screen time this season, which is really, really great. And also the Major storyline was one that was definitely being continued throughout this entire season, so it wasn't one that was just wrapped up in a couple of episodes and then forgotten about. If anything, it's going to come back into the next season, and I have got a little bit of a theory in terms of what's going to happen with the Major, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. Next up, we have the lifeboat storyline, which definitely took a life of its own, no pun intended, after all the meth heads passed away, in terms of all of the 828 passengers are kind of in it together and they all have to help each other in order to not drown and to not sink like the meth heads did. And I thought it was a really interesting perspective that the Michaela character brought, in terms of in the drawing by Alzayas are certain characters being pushed out instead of being the ones that are actually sinking the lifeboat. And also, can you trust each other, and the burden of actually, are you able to help all of the hundreds of passengers that were on flight 828? And obviously that then led into the division storyline in terms of there being different groups within the 828 passengers, and obviously there being conflict and some power struggles forming between the Egan character believing that Ben wants all of the power and coming into conflict over that. And then of course in the last few episodes where there definitely was a 2-tier society in terms of the 828 passengers being treated very differently to the non-828 passengers, which definitely felt to me a lot like the X-Men in terms of mutants being treated very differently by the human characters and having a different set of rules, which is definitely burning up a lot of anger within the 828 passenger team. And I feel like this would definitely blow up in a lot of people's faces in the next season. We then have the Angelina character who was causing so much chaos. The Angelina character and the Egan character were just ruining so many people's lives. I thought it was really interesting in the first episode, the calling with Ben, Michaela, Cal and Angelina. You were going to think that the Angelina character is going to be a really heroic, brilliant character, but when she was really single white female in the Olive character and then killing the Grace character, this character was a truly devilish character, which you definitely saw with the fire wings. And then finally we have the love triangle, the classic triangle between Michaela, Jared and Zeke. Not that much happened with it this season. I feel like Zeke was always feeling second best throughout this series, but I feel like at the end of this season it was definitely alluded that it's going to be picked up straight away at the start of the 4th season, so I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in the next season. But as far as the 3rd season goes, the storylines were all pretty awesome. So from a cast and characters point of view, Manifest is just absolutely brilliant, as they've got such awesome cast members playing such great characters. At points there is a little bit of overacting and some of the moments are a little bit cheesy, but you just absolutely love it, don't you, in this show? So let's go through them one by one. So of course, first up we have Josh Dallas playing the Ben Stone character, and this time I feel like Ben Stone was definitely the main lead character in season 3, even more so than the Michaela character. And I think it's really interesting is with this character, he goes on such a brilliant arc, and comparing to where he was in the 1st and 2nd season, he's such a different character. As in the 1st and 2nd season, he was very calm and collected, very rational, whereas this time he was very frantic, definitely a man on a mission. Even his look, you could just see that this character is just super frantic and he just wants to do the next thing, next thing, next thing. And I just feel like it's really sad, as he did really neglect the Grace character, and now obviously that she's passed away, I just think it's going to be so devastating for this character next season. But as far as this season goes, he was just constantly just really wanting to help all of the passengers, especially with the lifeboat scenario. As soon as he heard about that, God, I feel like you can do a bit of a meme video in terms of all of the times that the Ben Stone character said lifeboat, as he just literally loved that word and was just so obsessed with just wanting to help everyone and just avoid the same scenario and the same fate that the meth heads had. Next up we have Melissa Roxburgh, who is playing the Michaela character, and I absolutely loved the character journey that this character had as well across the season as well. As in the beginning, she is made to feel like she's a very different type of police officer, as of course she is a little bit different because she gets the callings, but she's really made to feel like she's different. And then in the beginning she's like, okay, look, I'm just going to do everything by the book. I'm definitely going to be a cop first and a passenger second. And she was doing everything by the book really, really well. However, towards the end of the 3rd season, all of that was literally thrown in her face. And she was told that she's going to be treated differently and that they don't like the fact that there were a lot of holes in her cases. So it's just really devastating, the fact that she was just doing literally everything for the police force, and then it felt pretty thankless by the end of it. And I just feel like it's totally understandable for this character to just decide, okay, do you know what, I've just had enough, and then she just left the police force, and now she is putting being a passenger first and being a cop second, which I just think is a really interesting flip in terms of where this character was in the beginning of the season. Next up we have arguably the best actress, Athena Karkanis, in the entire cast, as she just delivers her lines so brilliantly. You can just always feel the raw emotion, and she definitely deserves Mother of the Year award, as she always puts her kids first, and you can just feel her raw passion coming out, which is why I just think it's so devastating that they killed off this character at the end, which I just think is absolutely heartbreaking. I feel like this is going to affect all of the characters, especially Ben Stone. How he's going to move past this, I don't know. How Oliver's going to move on from this. I feel like she is going to burden herself with so much guilt as she was in the house while Angelina was doing all of that. So I just feel like it's so devastating for what happened with this character. In the beginning, I was in a bit of a denial stage in terms of, oh, no way is they going to kill this character off. I'm sure she'll come back in the first episode in the same way that Zeke came back. But now I'm just thinking they may have done it purposefully, just from a storyline point of view, and to have a new chapter in the Stone characters' lives. That being said, I do think she's going to come back. Maybe not straight away, but I do have a sneaky suspicion that this isn't the last time that we've seen the Grace character, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later on in this video. Next up, we have J.R. Ramirez playing the Jared character, another character that I think is really, really great. I loved him in season 2 when he was doing his double agent cop, when you were thinking that he's going to be on the opposite side of Michaela, but then actually he was on her side. I do feel like this season they didn't use him as much as they did in the 2nd season. This time he was a lot more focused on trying to solve the case of the Major in terms of how did she pass away, and his relationship with Sarah, and then the love square that he has with the Michaela and Zeke character. But I'm sure the next season he'll be doing a lot more. On that point, next up we have Matt Long, who is playing the Zeke character, and I felt so sorry for this character, as he was just constantly feeling like second best. I really like the relationship now between the Zeke character and Michaela. Before, I definitely was team Michaela and Jared, but actually I really like Michaela and Zeke now, and I just love the fact that this time he had the empathic power, definitely channeling the Phoebe Halliwell powers from the Charmed series in terms of really being able to feel all of the different characters. I feel like he used this really, really well this season. Cannot wait to see how they're going to expand upon this in the next season. I hope Zeke has a lot more to do in the next season as well. Next up we have Parveen Kaur playing the Sanvi character, and like I said before, the majority of her arc this season was definitely feeling a lot of guilt over the major, but also then she joined the team at Eureka and was definitely really helping them from a scientific point of view in terms of really understanding everything to do with 8-way passengers. And I thought this character is really interesting in terms of seeing both of those sides of her. So from a human side, she's able to help as she is an 8-way passenger herself, but then from the 828 side, she is able to be a bit of a mole on the inside and let them know what's happening from all the scientific testing point of view as well. And by the end of this season, she got her callings powers back. So I feel like next season this character will also continue to be a really pivotal player. Next up we have Blaise, who is playing the Olive character. I really like the transformation that this character has had in terms of where she was in the beginning of season 1 and 2, where she would always feel like a bit of an outsider in terms of being the only one in the whole family not to have calling powers, especially when Grace had it herself. Olive was literally the only character that didn't, whereas in this season she's a real pivotal team player in terms of really helping them from a mythology point of view, in terms of really understanding the meaning behind everything that's happening. And then of course the Angelina showdown, she was the first character to realise this character is truly messed up. Next up we have Jack Messina, who is playing the Cal Stone character. I feel like this character was so much more sidelined than he was in the first season and the second season. He was much more of a pivotal team player in the first 2 seasons, whereas this time I just feel like they gave him very short scenes. I don't know if that was due to the actor not wanting to play this character anymore, which is maybe why they recasted him into being a 5 years older version of him, or if it was more to do with the script. But you know, that being said, I can't wait to see what's going to happen with this character now being an older version of the Cal Stone character. Next up we have Holly Taylor, who was introduced in this series as the Angelina character, and she was literally causing the entire Stone family so much chaos. This character was a true psycho. How she was manipulating Cal, how she was justifying everything in her head, all of her actions were truly devastating, and I just feel like this character definitely needs to have her comeuppance in the next season. Next up we have Daryl Edwards playing the Vance character. I'm so glad that they brought this character back, as he was so awesome in the first season, and this time he was a true ally towards the 8-way passengers team. And then finally we have the Egan character, who had a real complex. I don't know if he was really jealous of the Ben character, if he wanted to be the Ben character, as he was just causing so much hatred and divisions from all the 8-way passengers to really target the Ben character. So it was a true narcissistic bully in this season. But all in all, from a casting characters point of view, season 3 definitely did not disappoint. So the third season of Manifest from a visuals point of view looked absolutely incredible, and on top of that, the fact that they were able to record everything during a pandemic, I just think is such a massive achievement, as you would never have thought that it was filmed during the pandemic, as everything just looked super impressive. And on top of that, I love the fact that they were able to bring back all of the main cast members and having some guest appearances as well from the Preacher and from the pilot as well. I just think it's a massive achievement that they had in this series. And also I love the fact that they had the fire, water, wind, earth type callings in this series as well, and all of the set pieces, they had loads of extras to really make it feel realistic. So for example, in the police station scenes and in the Eureka research lab scenes, they had all of the extras. By the way, how annoying was that research scripter character in terms of really leading with the Iron Fist? And also, like I said before, some of the scenes were filmed absolutely brilliantly. The shootout sequence by the meth head, from a cinematography point of view, they had one shot panning across all of the cast members, really making you feel the intensity and really making you feel like you're there with all of the different characters trying to survive this madman shooting everyone. I thought it was absolutely brilliantly shot from a visual spectacle point of view. And then of course the ending was just absolutely incredible as well. So all in all, from a visuals point of view, the third season of Manifest definitely deserves a massive applause. So from a comparison point of view, I did really enjoy the third season of Manifest. I do think it's a little bit slower than the previous 2 seasons, and as such I think it's on the same level as the second season. I don't think it's as great as the first season. I absolutely loved the first season of Manifest, but you know, that being said, I did really enjoy it, and I do think it's a lot stronger than Lost, Flight Attendant, Resurrection, The Crossing, Timeless, and Big Sky as well. So from a comparison point of view, the third season of Manifest is pretty awesome. So the end of the final episode of season 3 of Manifest was just totally mind-blowing. I cannot believe that they killed off the Grace character. So devastating. This character's death, I just feel like, is going to be impacting every single character it will be a ripple effect across the entire show, not even just a ripple actually, a massive tornado wave across all of the future seasons. I just feel like it's so devastating. Also, Jeff Rake, who is the creator of Manifest, I remember he said that the Ben Stone and the Grace characters' relationship is definitely at the heart of the show, and the fact that they ripped this apart, I just feel like is really tragic. Like I said before as well, I do have a feeling that they are going to bring back the Grace character, but I'll talk about how I feel like that's going to happen in my prediction section in a minute. Next up we have the Angelina character, and I just feel like this character is such a psycho, and it's just a real example of how you really need to be careful about who you invite into your life, and more importantly who you invite into your home. As well, as she was trying to become the Olive character, she manipulated the Cal character, and then she killed the Grace character and kidnapped the Eden character. This character, I just feel like, you know, she was invited so lovingly into the Stone family, and she just threw that in all of their faces completely, just all for her selfish, confused, devilish ambitions, which I just think is absolutely crazy. Next up we have the Cal character growing up 5 years. Like I said before, I do feel like maybe this is to do with something behind the scenes, but either way I feel like the fact that they've grown this character up is truly going to change the Stone family again. Their dynamic is going to be very, very different now that Cal is actually a grown-up. Like I said before as well, I feel really sorry for the Zeke character, constantly hearing it from Beverly and from Jared, and somewhat from Michaela as well, that he was second best to the Jared character, and I just feel like it's really sad that this character just wants to have a life with the Michaela character, who I do feel like wants to have a life with him as well, as Michaela was telling Grace that what she's looking forward to is spending the rest of her life with the Zeke character. So I do feel like Michaela wants this, but I just feel like she's always going to be very confused as far as the Jared character is concerned. And then finally we have the plane coming back, and I love the fact that the pilot came back as well. We last saw him in the first season where he disappeared into the Black Lightning, and now he's come back. I thought they would have given it a bit more time before they brought this character back. Maybe they will actually. Maybe he'll come back in the 5th season. They've just disappeared the plane again, which I just think is another really confusing situation to happen. And as when he disappeared into the Black Lightning, he also had the psychologist with him as well. So I wonder where she is. But all in all, from an endings point of view, I just feel like the 3rd season of Manifest was truly heartbreaking, truly mind-blowing, and really changing the game forever as far as the next seasons are concerned, which I cannot wait to see what's going to happen next in Manifest. So I'm feeling quietly confident that Manifest will get renewed for a 4th season, especially after that Netflix deal. So here are my predictions of what I think is going to happen. So I feel like the first thing that's going to happen is the very sad funeral that they're going to have for the Grace character. Like I said, this death is going to impact so many different characters, and I just feel like the impact of it as well is going to be felt for a very long time. So I feel like it's going to be very sad, but I feel like all of the characters are going to see what life is like without the Grace character, and they're going to have a very emotional funeral sequence for this character as well. That being said, I do feel like this character is going to come back, and the way in which I think she's going to come back is, I think if an 828 passenger kills someone, I feel like they are then going to come back themselves. So I also think that not only is Grace going to come back, but I feel like the Major is going to come back as well, which I think is going to be truly game changing, because obviously now she will have some kind of calling abilities and will be definitely after Samvi's head. And I think when Grace comes back, she'll come back with certain abilities, as I loved it in the 2nd season when she had her own callings ability. So I just feel like, you know, there will be some kind of a happy ending for the Grace character in terms of being reunited with the Ben character. Then she'll totally understand where he's coming from as well, and I just feel like they'll have a very different type of relationship when the Grace character returns. Next up, I think there's going to be a true war within the passengers teams first. I feel like there's going to be a lot of power struggles within the different communities. All of them are going to have very different perspectives. Ben is going to do his best in terms of having some harmony within the group as well, and then I feel like there's going to be a massive war between the passengers and the human characters. I just feel like that's going to erupt into something very devastating. Hopefully there'll be some kind of resolution in terms of learning how to coexist with each other as well. Maybe Eureka will find out something that will give humans peace of mind in terms of understanding what on earth the 828 passengers are all about. But maybe there'll be some more clues in terms of linking that with the Noah's Ark mystery. I feel like we'll find out a little bit more about what on earth happened to the 828 passengers. I feel like the actual reveal will be waiting until the end of the 6th season, as the creator does have a bit of a 6-season plan, but I just feel like the 4th season will have a bit more unraveling in terms of what happened to these different characters. I feel like the Angelina character will hopefully finally have some comeuppance in terms of all of the chaos that she's caused. But first of all, I feel like she's going to maybe run off with the Eden character. The other characters are going to be able to use their calling powers to understand and find out exactly where she is, and maybe she'll then go back to her parents' dungeon where she was kept in the first place. I feel like there'll be a bit of resolution as well with the Jared, Michaela and Zeke relationship. Maybe for a little bit of time, Michaela will entertain the idea of being in a relationship with the Jared character, but then I feel like ultimately she'll go back to the Zeke character, and then these two can go back to being a bit of a power couple like they were in the 2nd season. I feel like the Sambi character will have a little bit of punishment coming her way, as Jared now knows that she is responsible for the Major's death. But like I said before, I then think that the Major is going to come back before Sambi can truly be punished. And also Sambi now has the ability to tap into the callings, which I think is really, really interesting as well. And then finally, we have the Cal character, who is now grown up. So I just feel like there's going to be a new dynamic between him and Olive, him and Ben, him and Michaela, him and Zeke, and hopefully he'll go back to being a lot more of an integrated team member within the community. So I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in the 4th season of Manifest. So overall, I have to say I absolutely love the 3rd season of Manifest. I think Manifest is such an awesome show. Super, super fun, super, super cheesy, super, super over dramatic, but it's just so addictive. Every single scene literally has you gripped. I love all of the different adventures that they also have from a police point of view as well. For example, the raids that they had in the supermarket and in Vance's house as well. I just think it's such a clever show. I love the big mystery that they have and the continuation across all of the different seasons, and the character growth. Everything to do with Manifest is super great. The 3rd season was absolutely awesome. I cannot wait to see what's going to happen with the 4th season. I think the signing of the deal with Netflix is a really promising next step, and I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in the very successful future of Manifest. But as far as the 3rd season goes, I have to give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.